Jujutsu Kaisen, Chapter 260. Spoilers are here. Gojo is back, but not how we expected. Todo, as I expected last week, has some sort of accursed tool in his hand, and we get an epic fight between Todo and Yuji versus Sukuna. As always, massive shout out to Miyamura for providing the leaks. Now sit back, relax, and let's go through them all. The chapter begins with Todo revealing that his missing left arm is replaced with an instrument called Vibroslap. The narrator explains that Todo has changed Boogie Woogie's activation from clapping hands to a collision of the metal piece and wooden box of Vibroslap. Todo can now swap people a total of 50 times in a second. Essentially, Todo powered up, and this might explain why he was absent. I know that it's been years since the last time we saw Todo, however, in the Jujutsu Kaisen world around 2 months have passed since the Shibuya incident. So maybe Todo was training and adapting to his injury, which guided him to this new tool. Now, back to the fight. Todo and Yuji's simultaneous attacks leave Sukuna clueless. And here I expected the opposite. Because Sukuna was with Yuji when Yuji fought Hanami and Mahito, I expected Sukuna to easily adapt to Todo's cursed technique. Maybe Sukuna is surprised due to all of the changes and power-ups that Todo introduced to his cursed technique, because as we'll see later, Boogie Woogie's conditions and mechanics have changed. Todo imposed a binding vow to limit the number of swaps in proportion to the collisions of the Vibroslap. Todo has successfully expanded the curse technique targets to multiple targets and expanded the effective range of the technique. So essentially, Todo can swap multiple targets at the same time. The narrator also reveals that Todo successfully evacuated the sorcerers from Sukuna's domain. I didn't think that Gege would reveal this in this chapter, but it's confirmed that Maki, Ino, and the others have survived Sukuna's flames. Next, Sukuna thinks to himself about Todo. Out of all the sorcerers, he's the most self-centered and difficult to sway. He honestly appeared at the time I least wanted him to show up. Just as Todo was about to land a kick, Sukuna easily dodges it. Todo makes a self-note that Sukuna can dodge mid-air. Yuji then throws a rock towards them and Todo swaps it with Yuji as he lands a strong missile kick into Sukuna. Yuji did something similar in the fight against Mahito, so I can't wait to see this fight animated. The fight between Yuji and Todo versus Hanami in the first season is what made me really love the entire series. So I really like the fact that in the last battle, we're getting to see Todo and Yuji work together as they did multiple times previously. Another thing to note is Todo's creativity. I mean, Boogie Woogie isn't the most original concept out there. For instance, we have Law's Shambles and Sasuke's Rinnegan. These techniques have a similar principle to Boogie Woogie. However, Todo has taken it to another level. It's now impossible to predict or anticipate what would Todo do. He can swap multiple objects with each tap. Next, Sukuna grabs hold of Yuji by his face and tries to thrash him, but Todo keeps on swapping as Yuji continues to punch Sukuna from his blind spots. Todo, Yuji, and Sukuna are now in like a roulette. Sukuna realizes Todo can change the maximum and minimum values for the number of swaps per single tap. Sukuna thinks it's practically impossible to get used to Boogie Woogie. But Sukuna has figured out a way to read when Todo might swap. It's precisely when Yuji's focus has peaked. Sukuna thinks Todo might feint by not swapping Yuji but something else to trick opponents, so Sukuna moves to punch Yuji very hard. But soon Mei-Mei's crow appears, and Sukuna realizes his mistake that he misread Todo's move. Sukuna thinks they swapped with Mei's crow, so quickly tries to turn his body towards his blind spot and land a kick, but he realizes he got tricked once again. Todo didn't swap their places at all. Yuji easily hits a black flash on Sukuna. After landing a black flash, Yuji pierces his claw hand into Sukuna and continues to brutally tear him apart with a demonic face. This is now the 8th or 9th black flash Yuji has landed on Sukuna. Yuji has truly mastered the black flash. Even though Yuji's hand has pierced his chest, Sukuna tries to expand his domain once again, but Sukuna sees a mysterious silhouette. Narrator explains that Sukuna has witnessed him, the strongest ghost that Sukuna killed by his own hands. And the silhouette is without a doubt Gojo. I have seen the panel. The chapter ends here and no break next week. Now, in the manner that Gege showed Gojo, It looks like Sukuna is seeing Gojo as a ghost or having some sort of a vision. This may mean that Sukuna is done, and in the next chapter we might see Yuji take him out. Please don't get this out of context. Gojo is not back to fight. It looks like a Sukuna is getting a vision, which is something that Gege always does before a character dies. They get their own vision. This is what's happening currently. Now, I'm not saying that Gojo is definitely coming back. I know there are a lot of theories about this topic, so I'm not going to open this discussion because personally, I don't mind if Gojo is dead or comes back as long as it fits the narrative. Currently, it seems that we don't need Gojo to defeat Sukuna. The way I see it now is if Sukuna dies, maybe the merger would start automatically, and the only savior in that case is Gojo. I mean, think about it. Everyone is exhausted and injured. Even if Yuji defeats Sukuna, he can't do anything else due to all the injuries he sustained during the fight. On the other hand, I don't think the series will end with the death of Sukuna. Don't forget that the entire story is for Kenjaku to achieve his goal, which is now the merger. Yes, Sukuna is the main antagonist of the series. However, Sukuna himself is brought back to be a player in the Culling Games to prepare for the merger. Every major arc we went through was planned and orchestrated by Kenjaku in preparation for the merger, so I don't think that all of this build-up would just end with Sukuna's death. Plus, I don't think that Kenjaku would gamble the success of his plan on Sukuna winning. Knowing Kenjaku, who had more than 1,000 years of planning for the merger, he would ensure that in any outcome, the merger starts. Now, we don't exactly know what the merger is, but the only person who can fight against it is Gojo. Remember that the merger would have an unimaginable amount of cursed energy, and Gojo is perfect for this because his techniques aren't dependent on the opponent's strength. Another important thing to note is knowing Gege's style. I think that the fight against Sukuna is ending in the next couple chapters. Gege doesn't prolong a fight more than it needs to be, and Sukuna getting a vision is a huge sign that the fight is at its end. Anyway, this is what I'm thinking about currently. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and see you next time.